Hey, what's up guys? In this video we're gonna write the bare minimal SCRAPY spider to crawl web pages and extract data out of them. I will try to keep things as simple as possible to avoid all those overwhelming stuff that you might have encountered during reading SCRAPY documentation. So no command line tools, no SCRAPY shell, and things that overwhelms beginners absolutely. So I will try to go just straightforward, inheriting from basics SCRAPY spider class and then just invoking the crawler process, and that's how we kind of supposed to run our web scraper. So pretty simple and straightforward, just providing a few lines to providing a few lines to define the data extraction logic, and that's basically it. Also, I've created this experimental Python development environment for you guys being able to follow this tutorial completely in browser, so no need to install any Python or dependencies on your local system. So SCRAPY is already pre-installed here, so you can just follow this tutorial without an easy way basically. So if you're excited, let's actually start writing some code. So first we need to import SCRAPY itself, so I simply say import SCRAPY, and then from SCRAPY dot crawler import crawler process. So the crawler process is the class that we'll need to create an instance of in order to actually being able to run our spiders. And now let's define the spider class. So we can simply say class, and we'll be scraping quotes from quotes to scrape.com, which is the standard site presenting the SCRAPY documentation. Let me just quickly show you that as well. So here is our quotes, so quotes to scrape.com. So here is kind of the thing, and I already remember by heart all the CSS selectors, so just basically can show you that. So this is the span of type text, so this one, okay, and the author is the small tag with a class of the author respectively. So here it is. So we will be taking only this two for just as an example here. So first we need to provide the class name, so let's call this kind of quotes scraper, and it inherits from SCRAPY.spider, and this kind of spider is the basic spider class, kind of general purpose spider for your web scrapers or web spiders. An absolutely obvious thing to provide to define within this class is actually the name of your scraper, otherwise it won't simply won't work. So let's create a name like quotes bot or whatever. So let make it just quotes, and that's it. Then the most easy way to force this spider to crawl the pages you provided the URLs for is actually to provide the start URLs built-in kind of variable. Otherwise you will need explicitly to define the request, but in this case we'll go the very simple way. So I can simply define the start URLs method here that that has to be obviously the type of Python list, and you can specify all the pages to crawl here. So let me first specify this kind of page here. So I simply say quotes to scrape.com here, so just paste this in, and now I need to define the parse method that would fire as the callback of outgoing HTTP GET request. So it takes the self as an argument, of course, and also the response object that we would be extracting data from. So let's actually try to print response.text to make sure that the callback function fires correctly and the scraper actually works. But actually, in order to start our scraper, we need to write a couple more lines of code. So here I define the commentary like run spider, and here we need to create the process variable equals to crawler process like this, and then we need to say process.crawl, which actually enables the crawling of the particular spider, and here it takes the spider as the argument. So in our case we're using quotes scraper, so this is our spider to crawl, and as far as we did specify this, we need simply to say process.start, and now let's execute the code. Okay, invalid syntax. Where is this import? Oh, sorry, of course, no parenthesis at the import. Okay, so here we have our output. So this means that the callback function did successfully fire after making HTTP GET request to this kind of particular URL endpoint. So we now we have the response to extract data from. And well, basically, let me show you a couple of methods of how can one use the built-in CSS selectors that are available in SCRAPY, because they're the most somewhat the most look like what we used to do in Beautiful Soup in numerous tutorials in this channel regarding requests and Beautiful Soup scrapers. So I'll comment this as like a casual way. And the second way of extraction would be, let's call this Pythonic way. So by saying Pythonic way, by saying Pythonic, I mean that code that would be presented here would kind of more like following Python principles presented in ZenPython and other kind of stuff. Well, if you haven't kind of heard regarding ZenPython, you can simply say import this, and you will see. Okay, what kind of, okay, so just let's pass here. So here is the rules regarding how you have to type your code, how some I don't know, like how you should have write your Python code. These are the rules explaining that. So if you just import this, that's kind of how it works. So following those rules presented over here in Zen of Python actually is so when you follow these rules, that's what is used to be called as a Pythonic way. So well, but let's start with a casual way first. So I can simply say here, so we need to so first let's create the quotes variable that would be equal to response.css. So here by calling this .css method, we're now going to be extracting our tags by CSS classes. So we want to extract the span tag with the class name of text. So let me just show you why exactly the span tag and why exactly the tag. So here you can see the span with the class of text, and that's actually the source of our particular quote that we're supposed to scrape. And regarding the author, here's the small tag with a class equals to author. So these are the pairs of tag names and the corresponding classes that we need to extract data from this kind of response. So span tags, and now in order to extract not only the tags, but actually not the tags, not the selectors. Well, this would just return the selector. So selector is not a text element. Now, in order to just extract the text out of that, we need to specify two double colon here and then print text. So well, this text is the class name. Well, this text is actually tells us that we want to extract text out of this selector. And also we need to specify get all method that would always return the type of Python list as a new implementation of the old extract method. Yeah, but extract method didn't always return list, while get all always returns list according to new documentation at Python SCRAPY. So let's try to print our quotes now just to see what is gonna be there. So hope to see the quotes. Okay, here are our quotes. Great. And now also we need to make somewhat the same for the authors. So just paste this code here, and here we'll be using the tag that is called small, and the CSS class would be author. So I just specify it like this, and I just call this variables called authors, and just printing quotes one more time. Let me just print authors instead. Okay, so here we have the list of our authors, And now we can do absolutely the same that we used to do in numerous requests plus beautiful subtutorials on this channel. So we can simply loop over the indexes limited by the length of either quotes or authors, assuming that the length of both is the same. So let me just quickly check that out as well. Of course I know that they're probably length of 10 both, so let me just see length of quotes and also the length of authors here. So probably 10 and 10. Okay, 10 and 10, great. So that means that we can do the following stuff here. We can simply say for index in range from 0 to the length of whatever of these kind of elements, so say to the length of quotes, and here we can simply create an item that would be equal to say author and authors. Remember that the authors is list, hence it can be indexed by the index, it can be referenced by the index, and also quote, and here we'll need to specify quotes indexed by the index. Now one little interesting SCRAPY related stuff here. So we can do what is known as yield. So let me just show you that. So we just specify the Python specific yield keyword. I'm not sure how that pronounced, yield or yield, well, I don't know. And we just yield in this item here, and I just run this one more time. Then you'll see here that just along the work of this kind of spider, you can see that the data has been extracted, and we see kind of all the data here. This so why to use this? So the reason for using this might be if you want to use somewhat of built-in storing functions of SCRAPY. So say you want to yield files to CSV file, which is not the topic of this particular tutorial, but definitely will be covered in the following tutorials. So this is useful when you're not creating your CSV storing logic manually, but using some pre-built SCRAPY stuff instead. But also of course you can yield it directly, like in here, yield. Okay, so it would be absolutely the same result basically. And but also of course you can go just a pretty straightforward way, like you can actually simply print this stuff, or as I just did, create an item variable. And also you can even import the JSON module here to print the JSON like format. So import JSON, just like we used to do numerous times. And here we can simply say like print JSON dot dumps, and then item, and then indentation equals to 2 spaces. And in this case this would be presented in this like manner. So we have the author and the corresponding quote. So of course like we can strip the unnecessary stuff from the quote by simply saying strip like this, but this is already not kind of specific to SCRAPY. Okay, so for some reason it didn't remove this kind of Unicode symbols. Well, this is just a Unicode symbol, so well, maybe just forget about strip, doesn't really matter, that doesn't really regards this particular tutorial. Okay, so this was the casual way of doing things, and now let me show you a kind of more Pythonic way, as they suggest in the SCRAPY documentation when they presented this kind of scraper. So the more Pythonic way would be just first to loop over the div of the class quote. So here it is. So this is the entire div. You see here it's the entire div has been highlighted. So div class quote, and then for every selector we'll be extracting CSS selectors containing both quote itself and the author name. So let's try and doing that as well. So here we can simply say for quote in response dot CSS, and here we'll be extracting div of the class quote. So this is the class name, and this is this is the tag name, sorry, and this is the class name of for the corresponding kind of tag. And we do not specify get all here because we don't really want to extract text directly. Instead, we just want to have exactly we want our quote to store the variable of the current particular selector of each element with a, of type div with a class of quote. And if we just gonna print our quote here, so quote, and here let me just yeah, probably leave this print item JSON dumps item indentation equals to 2 space. So let's, and let me just try to commit, just run this to make sure it works. Okay, and I just comment this out now, so it won't really annoy us anymore. So here we have the list of our selectors. So you see that the quote is the type of selector here, and that means that we can simply say, so now we can, well, and again, like more Pythonic way and more kind of scrappy way, if we can say so, it would be just to yield directly the output in the following way. So here we will say, and remember, like things that has been yielded, they can be easily stored to the CSV file later on. If we just specify like somewhat a CSV path or something like that, that would be definitely covered in the next tutorial. So actually, okay, so here we'll specify our quote, and in this case we'll be using this quote selector to extract data. So we can simply say quote.css, so we can call the CSS method again, and here, just like in the previous case, like we done over here, so we can use the span text. So we say span.text, and we need, in this case we need to get, not the get all, but get, because this would be the only element available, and this would be the type of string basically. And also here let's have our author, let's have author before the quote. I like it a little bit more, so, and the author would be equal to actually quote dot CSS, and here span, now the span small dot author and dot get. Okay, so comma here, but no comma over here. So let's try to run this stuff one more time. Okay, and as far as we yielding, this should be presented along the work out of the scraper itself. So here we have, okay, author, but for some reason it didn't really, oh, that's because it did return the entire tag. That's because I forgot to specify the text element here and here. So let me just run this again. Okay, so now it seems like correct. So we have the author and the quote, corresponding quote for this particular author. Okay guys, so this is it for this video, and this was the very basics regarding Python SCRAPY framework. So probably the most easy way to kickstart with this sort of framework. In the further videos, we'll be covering the vast majority of all the possible features available in SCRAPY. There's lots of those out there really, so I'll try to cover like as many as possible, because those are really interesting, and they really kind of opens highways to web scraping in a great scale for your convenience, guys. Okay, so this is it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed this and learned something useful. So this is it from my side. So until next time, and take care.